Good morning, the two Robbies alongside myself, Rebecca Lowe. We've got to get stuck into this straight away, Robbie, because when you look at that timeline, these new rules, or I shouldn't call them new actually, but maybe rules that now have very strong teeth, as we've seen with Everton, are putting us in a position that by the end of the season, we may know who's been relegated, but according to those dates, that could all change 5 days after the end of the season. But in terms of it as a set of rules, are you OK with profitability and sustainability rules doing what they're doing?
I'm OK with it, yes. And I think it's the right thing to do. But this is a conversation, Rebecca, that we've got to have. And this is serious. We're talking an historic moment in football. English football is happening right now as we sit here now. That the time when Everton was docked 10 points, everything changed. Everybody in the Premier League knows it's serious business now. And that, in the past kind of championships, when you think of Jack Walker at Blackburn Rovers and Roman Abramovich at Chelsea, the money from Abu Dhabi for Manchester City, they came from nowhere, those clubs. They came from nowhere with a very wealthy owner to win a title. Now that's gone. That's changed. Newcastle United now have one of the wealthiest owners of a football club anywhere in the world. They can't spend the money because of this. And those 10 points at Everton now is a line in the sand. That was then, this is now. Now, there's lots of conversations to follow on the back of that, but we're living through a historic moment right now in English football.
Rob?
It's interesting. You said the new rules, whether it was FFP or PSO, they were kind of acronyms that were swirling around, but we didn't know anything about. And then Mustoe makes a great point. When we saw Everton be 10 points deducted, it pretty much hit home how important this is going to be to every club. In principle, I'm not against some regulation of the spending to almost protect the clubs, actually, because some clubs would almost spend themselves out of business, but also to maintain the parity in the league so that we can have Luton Towns coming into the league, and they can challenge, Rebecca, they compete, they can stay in the league. That's something that's unique about the Premier League. But the timing and the execution of PSO as it stands just feels really off to me, as though it's not in the right place. And we're in a situation now where you said we could get to the end of the season and then not know who are the teams that are going down. We almost sit here as analysts of the football and we'll talk about the league. It's almost like we need somebody legal and somebody from the accounting side sitting between us telling us what's going on at the clubs, because things could change very quickly.
That's got to change. There's no way that can continue. Well, at the end of the season, the final day, we don't sit here and we don't know who's getting relegated.
Well, we'll know who's finishing
They're
the bottom.
making up as they go along, by the way. They're making this up as they go along.
Well, we'll know who's in the bottom three and who's gone down, like you say. But let's say, for example, Brentford went down. My concern, I would have thought, or many fans' concerns, would be that, let's say Brighton go down, they sell 3 of their best players. Brentford go down, sell 3 of their best players. And then a week later, actually, they're told by the Premier, no, you're actually back in. Sorry, we're now going to relegate Nottingham Forest because now we've given them a points deduction following the appeal. It's been upheld. And suddenly they've lost all their best players and they're back in the Premier League. Every
time you look at the Premier League, Rebecca, and see an asterisk, and right now there's 1 asterisk against Everton, it's not a good look. For the biggest league in the world, asterisks are not good things. And we might be having 1 or 2 more asterisks on before now and the end of the season with clubs who get hit by the PSO.
And continuing on kind of the making up as they go along, we've got to remember that the Premier League clubs voted for this, right? The Premier League clubs themselves voted for it. Everton, Nottingham Forest and everybody else. Now they're talking about they don't quite like this. They're going to change it again and have it as like a percentage of revenue, which is more on the UEFA financial fair play situation. So again, I feel for Everton, but well, hang on a minute, we got done for this, and now you're going to change it again. So that and deciding things after the last game of the season, this is all new, and this is changing. It's fluid. In the weeks and months ahead, it's going to change.
And to add to that point, Bex, the rules were brought in 2013 when the losses for clubs over a 3-year period was £105 million, $133 million, something about that number. We are now in 23-24 and the same number still exists. So no inflation, no growth, no allowing of a little bit more spending because things have got more expensive. We're still staying with the 2013 number, which just doesn't seem right.
Well, I think the maths was done by an expert this week and it should now be standing at around 218 million.
Yeah.
So clubs should have a little bit
Inflation.
more, given inflation over the last 10 years. If you've been thinking that the January transfer window isn't even open, yes, it's open, but nothing's really happening. Look at the difference. Robbie, when you look at this graphic, 40 million spent so far this month as of Friday, right? As of yesterday. Compare that to last, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere near 900, nearly $1 billion just last year. So it's now already having an impact. But in some ways, is it a negative impact? Because this is supposed to be the most glamorous, greatest league in the world with all the best players, but no one at the moment wants to spend any money.
No, maybe they saw it coming. They saw it coming last January. That's why it's such a huge amount of money. It's a really interesting question. Again, we probably haven't got enough time to get into it, but shouldn't there be a hybrid, Rebecca? Shouldn't fans dream that a rich owner can come in and maybe they can spend a certain amount just over the first couple of years or the first few windows to give that club a boost? Because right now, you know, we could be a situation where the big clubs with the highest revenues are always going to win. And that's not a benefit as well. So it's a really tricky one.
A little byproduct to this as well that I particularly don't like is for clubs and some of the big clubs to give themselves more space in terms of losses is sell somebody from the academy. A kid who's been there, Conor Gallagher, Broja, Lewis Miley at Newcastle United. Let's sell them for 40, 50, 60 million. Because it's pure profit and that works better. Now, how can that be good for the game? How can that be good for the Premier League?
There's a lot to unpack, isn't there? Arguably a lot to improve as well. Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.